Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Alvarez for K-Rock with Tom Morello and Måneskin. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really enjoy this energy. When they told me that I was going to be sitting down with Tom Morello and Måneskin, it takes a second to kind of, you know what I mean? Because it's just marrying those two worlds, but I love it so much because it's two such beautiful worlds, and at the end of the day, it's rock and roll.
It's a lot of Italian energy,
It's
too.
a lot of Italian energy. I want to point out, Måneskin, you guys have been riding the ride. So you've played all the big festivals, acknowledged by the Grammys, hanging out with Dave Grohl, playing with an epic over here. You just released an album that, and I'm not a big fan of critics per se, but that everybody loves because you've infused a shot of adrenaline into rock and roll, and you put Italian rock on the map. So how does it feel to be where you are right now?
It's amazing for us. Like all the work that we put in the last 2 years, it's coming to us at the end. So like releasing this album after all this work and having all this recognition is of course amazing for us, and also having the chance to play with Tom and to meet other like huge artists, of course, makes us feel amazingly happy.
What's your favorite thing that's happened lately?
Sheesh.
Ooh, shit. I don't know. I think the American tour was crazy because it was like our first whole headlining American tour, and from artists coming from Italy is something really hard to dream of. And we feel, of course, like the live shows are our favorite moment. So
God, you're
that's when
so
we really get the connection and all the songs come to life, you know.
When you're so good at the live shows, Tom, I know you saw them live for the first time and probably felt the same thing. There's like this electricity in the room, but the way that the crowd reacts to you, whether they know all your songs or not, there's something. What is it? Like when you saw them perform, what got you?
I mean, it has that energy to
Yeah.
it. It's the reason, when you first love music and first want to play
Yes.
rock and roll, and you
Yes.
have posters on your wall and strum, a tennis racket, like they evoke that
Yeah.
in an audience,
Yeah.
and it's great that they're really like carrying the flag and our standard bearers from a new generation for rock and roll, and it's a great. Here's the thing: is like I first heard about them from the the big hit song Beggin', right?
Yeah.
And then had the opportunity to jam with them, and like it's really a great band. Like we have like
Yes.
just a half hour ago, before we were doing some other thing, playing some show, and beforehand we had like this kind of 10-15 minute jam just spontaneously that was so fun and so great and so like authentic. Like some of them have known each other when they were like
Since
12
high
years,
school,
12
right?
years old. They began
before.
playing on the streets of Rome at 15.
Busking. I think that's called busking.
It's called busking.
Yeah, in Rome.
Americans might know as playing for change on the street.
Yeah.
But like it's a real band that has really paid their dues, and it's great to see, and we always have a lot of fun playing together.
It's really interesting because when you first see them, you're very, very good looking and very stylish. So you get captivated by that, and you're like, oh, it's theatrics or something. But you play your instruments really well. You write incredible songs. You collaborate with the right people. So let's get to the album Rush. That is fantastic. It's 17 incredible songs. Blah, blah, blah is my favorite.
Like,
Yeah.
mine too.
Yes.
You do not hold back at all, but the album is unapologetic. It's sexy. It's savage. You talk about everything from drugs to heartbreak to some dabbling in politics, or you definitely have a voice. And then there's Tom. But let's start. Did Tom come in, or did he come to mind before the album or while you were making
Yeah.
it?
No,
In the-
we've
in the-
always been
in the
Always
meetings.
been
fans.
stalking
Oh,
Tom.
no, yeah,
So
sure.
Always been
We're
huge
like, it
fans.
was crazy. And when we met at the 𝗖ście show, we of course wanted to play together. It's like a dream for us. So when at first we just got in the studio very naturally and started jamming together and playing. We didn't even plan on what song or anything. It was just for the fun of it and doing something together. And then it all came naturally, and all the pieces came together.
Yeah, and also as Tom said before, we just playing together basically in the same room, and it was very fun. I mean, it was super natural. We felt like the same energy. Cause,
Yeah, I
mean,
can
we
feel
are
it.
both
Just sitting
musician,
here.
of course. But
It's why
yeah.
you sign up to do it to begin with. You're just doing it because it comes naturally, and it's a great
Exactly.
time playing together. So.
In the song Gossip, it's already such a solid song. And the first time I heard it, Tom's part came in, and you have this way of infusing this electric, like moaning, like you have your own guitar language, and it took a song that's already freaking fantastic and elevated it, and it's such a pleasure to hear you and them create, I wouldn't say a new sound, but to just offer more rock and roll to a world that I think is lacking in it sometimes.
Well, as much electric moaning as I can put in a song as possible. That's what I aim for. But I also like the fact, like this is a band. It's an unusual thing in 2023 to have a rock and roll band that has songs on the radio. Then to have a song on the radio that has not one but two guitar solos in it is really, it's like an anomaly, in this day and age. And so they're doing everything they can to be authentic to themselves and bring rock and roll back in a strong way.
Yeah, no, and I do believe it's working. You sound very musically tight on this record. What did you bring to the table that's maybe different than what you brought to the table the last few albums? What was new about this approach?
For this album, actually, we really changed the approach because we were used to go in the room and jam, the four of us, but this time we kind of tried embracing the differences between the four of us, because we have four very, very different backgrounds, and instead of creating like a land where everybody was agreeing on, we tried to let everybody lead in each different song, and I think that you can really hear who was leading in each song.
Well, you created room for independence.
Exactly.
I would not be doing my job well as a fan or as a host if I didn't mention that you are now nominated to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And no matter whether, I know some artists, so I won't ask your stance on it. Some artists love it, some artists don't, like whatever. But still, if you grow up,
I'm not shy in my opinion, so you can ask me.
Oh, okay. Tell me. What do you think? Because for us, just watching people that love you, we're just like, yes, it's about damn time. How do you feel?
Well, this is Rage Against the Machine's fifth nomination.
But this is the one.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
This is the one.
In a way. But it is, it's an honor, and it's great. It's great for the fans, and it's something that my mom would be very happy.
Okay, that's enough. I've seen you and your mom at the ArcLight a bunch of times. Take your mom on movie dates.
We go to a movie. We go to a movie from time to
Tom,
time. She's 99 years old.
Yeah, and
she's a fan of this song too. She was like, she watched. We played on a TV late night Fallon the other night, and my mom didn't stay up for it, but she watched it first thing the next morning. She gave it a thumbs up. So my Italian Mary Morello mom gives the Italian mom
That's amazing.
That's a big deal.
She was like, mythical.
Totally.
You were very musically generous. I was at a show once. It was a intimate Mumford & Sons show at the Troubadour. Do you remember that? And you came out of nowhere and lent your musical talents, and everybody was like, is that Tom Morello? And you really do change the molecules in the room.
Some electric moaning guitar.
Some electric moaning guitar. If you could give them a piece of advice or anything that you've learned along the way, if you could say anything to Måneskin, would you, or you think they've got it?
Yeah, I mean, the advice I would give them is like they've already done it. Like when they had the commitment to stand there and take the abuse on the streets of Rome to for a few euros a day, they really mean it. You know what I mean? So rather than me like saying, hey, you should do A, B, and C, I think that it's inspiring to me that there are people that are so good at their instruments, so committed, and a real rock and roll, like an old school rock and roll band that really believe it, and are friends and have played together for their whole life. So they don't need any advice from me.
No.
I'm going to keep going.
And you're fearless, and to think that there's a kid in Italy who maybe didn't have like a rock band to look up to that's going to pick up a guitar and be like, well, they did it, so I'm going to do it. So that's really cool.
That's the trippy thing too. In an era where there are not a lot of
Italian rock bands.
Not a lot of big rock bands, period. That one of the standard bearers is from Italy. Really, the first band. We were talking the other day. You're saying you want to have, when people think of Italy, you want them to think of something other than like pasta and the Colosseum. You know what I mean? And I think that you're doing a good job of giving people a third thing to talk about.
Very good job. And what will you remember about working with the legendary Tom Morello? What did you take from this experience?
A lot. It was super inspiring because especially when we were like having all these writing sessions in LA and we were meeting a lot of new people, producers, artists and stuff, it was so refreshing to get in the studio with someone that like has literally made history with the music, but still had that like really raw passion of coming in the studio and jamming for 3 hours without any boundaries, without any limits or anything. Because many people nowadays, I think they see music and try like to put it in boxes or do like, now it's more convenient to do this or to that. And while with Tom, the thing that really came true was just the passion and not really giving a fuck about all these limits or anything. And that really like inspired us and made us like remind it so strongly. Because, you know, for us sometimes like we try to do it, but we're young and we're just starting and coming in this big world, you know. So sometimes you get many different opinions from people and you like try to think about who's right, maybe someone else has a good idea and stuff. But then that really brought us back and was like, okay, if the legend does it this way, then fucking let's try it, you know?
There's so much pressure in this day and age to not write a great song or make a great album that you believe in, but to get like a 15-second TikTok
snippet
that's gonna be, you know, that's gonna go
death of
viral
us
and
all.
someone's gonna do a particular hand dance.
It's
you know, and that's just a
awful.
whole different way of like looking at the world and looking at music
Yeah.
than what these guys do. So.
You seem wise beyond your years, and I would say from just like what I know and see, what I have seen is to trust your instincts. You seem just wise, just the way that you speak. You're all badasses. I am very honored to sit on this stage with this energy. Thank you so much. I'm very proud to be here with all of you. Måneskin and Tom Morello. I'm Nicole Alvarez. This is K-Rock.
Thank you.
Thank you.